So if you watched the first video, we left here with the person on Experian at 623 and a 639 credit score. But we had to, if you'll recall, if I want to start over here, if you recall, we had to actually zero out the charge off or pay the charge off down and then simulate removing the disputes. And we did pick up some points after removing the disputes, which we explained on the first video, and also paying off the charge off and then paying down the revolving account to $10. And then we have a 639 credit score. So only 1 point from 640. 640 is like a different, whole different matrix. Once your score gets over, it can be lower interest rates or higher lender credits to help you with things like closing costs and so forth. But we're very, very close to a 640 with this particular person. So what I want to do now is now look at some other bureaus. This is Experian. We want to look at Equifax. We want to look at TransUnion because we only need a mid score. So what I want to do is see if this is the only option to get this person qualified above 640 because we didn't quite make it here with Experian. So I'm looking to get 2 scores above 640 with the other bureaus. And are we going to have to pay off this particular charge off that we had to pay here? If we can get them qualified without having to pay off that charge off, saving this particular person $2,400, which they thought they probably had to pay to get qualified, but through this exhaustive analysis, we have uncovered by looking under rocks, so to speak, a different strategy and way to go to benefit them. So that's what I'm going to look at and try to do. All right, so what I'm going to do is go out of Experian and I'll be right back. Okay, so we're back now and we're at TransUnion, and this is her credit report itemized in her TransUnion credit score. Okay, as you can see, her scores are higher on TransUnion to start with at 638. Now, what I'm trying to do is get this bar to 640 so she can save a lot of money, thousands of dollars over the life of loan by getting a lower interest rate, or at the very least, providing a lender credit at the same interest rate so that it helps her with her closing costs. So this could be worth thousands of dollars to her if we can get her a 640 credit score instead of trying to move forward in the state that we're in. So the first thing I'm going to notice in this particular selection in TransUnion, I do not see the charge-off account, the American Honda charge-off account. It's not there. So I don't have to deal with it in this particular account. So is it possible now that we don't have to pay off that $2,400 charge-off to get her to get 2 scores above 640? Well, I'm going to try to get this score above 640, and then we have to go one more bureau with Equifax to see if we can do that. So you also see um, there's no disputes on TransUnion. All the disputes were on the Experian model. All right, so I don't have to deal with that. So I'm going to come over here to the revolving account and do the same thing I did on the other one, which is knock it down to $10. Now you see this thing up here that says forecast will drop. What we can do is actually look what's going to happen in a month, and we see if we don't do certain actions, the score will drop to 657. But that's okay because we might get the loan done before that, or even if we don't, 657 is still going to be a good score, and we're going to be able to accomplish our goal. So I'm not real concerned about that. I'm going to come back to where we were. All right, now. I'm going to look at this, and there's really nothing else I can need to do here. You see also there's no collections on this particular model of TransUnion. So there's really nothing else I need to do here because I've got my score way above 640 here. You know, I can try some things, like maybe I can take this one down a little bit, and let's see if that, this thing wants to stick on $1, doesn't it? You guys hang with me. So paying down that particular card doesn't really help us at all. So the model that we used for Experian, paying down the Indigo card, to $10, that's all we really need to do for TransUnion, okay? So now I've got one score above 640 without having to pay down the charge off that we had to pay on Experian. So if I can get one more um, bureau, in this case Equifax, to get a score above 640, then we've just discovered that we do not have to pay off that charge off because FHA is not going to make her on this particular. I'm doing an FHA philosophy on this particular analysis. We could do a conventional philosophy and try to get someone qualified with conventional guidelines using these same tools and looking at all of the exhaustive components of the credit to get them qualified for a conventional loan. But this person here, we're going to try to get them qualified for FHA because of debt ratio and so forth. All right, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to come back and you're going to see me in the Equifax model, and then we'll take a look at that and see what we can conclude about this particular borrower. I'll be right back. Okay, so now we are in the Equifax model of her credit report. And you might say, well, why aren't the same credit lines showing up in all bureaus? Well, the fact is that some creditors only report to certain bureaus. So you could have, that's why your scores can differ from one bureau to the next. You may see a 700, a 620, and a 680 with all three bureaus because not the same trade lines are reporting to all the bureaus. And also, they don't weight different things the same as well. So that's why your scores can be different. But the first thing I'm going to do here is go ahead and remove these disputes because you see the Equifax model, those disputes are showing back up. So I'm going to remove the disputes. So we see that doesn't change the score. Neither does that one, and neither does that one. But we have to remove the disputes for the things that we talked about on the very first video on the overview. So those disputes are removed, and you can say, well, how do you do that? Don't worry about that right now. The lender can handle that for you and show you what to do along those lines, but that's not difficult. But don't worry about that right now. Okay, so the other thing, of course, we did was pay this down to $10, and we see the score jumps up to 638. All right, so we've got a 638 credit score. And what we want to do now is see if we can get this score above 640, because if we can, then things are going to work out really, really well for us because now I have my two bureaus above 640 and I don't have to worry about Experian and that $2,400 charge off. So the first thing I'm going to do is go down here and look at the revolving accounts and see if paying down either one of these revolving accounts is going to give us any points at all. Now, the fact is, the higher the balance is relative to your credit limit and paying down, the more it's going to lower your score. So as we pay down the balance lower and lower and lower relative to the high credit or the credit limit, our scores are going to go up. So this is already less than 20%. As you can see, it's only 16%. But let's try it anyway to see if we get any points. And look at that, we did. I'm actually surprised. All right, $10, and we see that paying down the Finger Hut down to from 205 down to $10, and paying down the Indigo down to $10, we now have a score that's above 640, 643. So now I've got a 665 or maybe a 657 on TransUnion and a 643 on Equifax. So I've got two scores above 640. The lending guidelines say I've got to have a mid score above 640. So now I am not at all worried about getting paying off that $2,400 charge off. So this person can get qualified without that. So that's the value of this program. And just for covering all our bases, again, going back and looking at on this particular Equifax model, does paying off a collection help? No. Does paying off this collection help? Even though it's just small? No. Does actually getting a credit repair service to delete it help us? It does. All right. Now see, that's why that is so important to look at all the bureaus, because this particular person may say, you know what? It may be, I may want to do that because I may want to get those extra points. That gives me 30 more points. And I'm up to 670 now. Let's look at this particular one here. Let's remove this and see if it helps us. So removing those two collections on Equifax, you can maybe justify getting a credit repair service to do that if you so desired. Now, what's the benefit? The higher the credit score, you got a chance at a little bit higher, a little bit lower interest rate, possibly a little bit higher lender credit. But when you actually talk to the lender, they can give you the pros and cons of that. And you may say, hey, it's really not worth it. Let's just move forward. But again, you're now equipped with so much information and so much knowledge, precise knowledge, that you really know exactly what you need to do and have all the information to make a quality decision. Okay. So I hope that has been valuable for you. Please contact us with any questions. If you would like this service for yourself or for any of your friends you want to refer to, or if you're a real estate agent, a client, we think it is an extremely, extremely valuable tool for everyone who's interested in becoming a homeowner. Thank you again for listening.